Hey guys, what's going on? Paul here. Welcome back to another Cardano catch-up where every Friday we take a look back at the main news, items and events from around the Cardano ecosystem, and I try and give a high-level summary of all the ones that caught my eye. With so much going on, there's definitely going to be some that I missed, so let me know in the comments down below. I'll try and include them in other videos. If you get value, please do share it out. Give the video a like, comment questions or suggestions about other projects to look into, or even one for the algorithm. I really do appreciate it. Let's jump into it. Okay, before we kick it off, timestamps are down below for anyone looking for any particular projects, but generally with these we try and fly through each of the topics and give the high level summary and then the links that you can dive into more yourself. So one of the videos that went out in the last week was the interview I done with Pi looking at Aiken smart contracts and the huge benefit they can bring. So we looked back, he explained what they are, compared them to smart contracts that have been built on Cardano so far, and as well as being a lot easier to build, the huge increase that it can give in throughput and what the contracts can actually do within one transaction. And he gave a really good visual of looking at the Sunday swap launch and how congested things were and how long it took to catch up on that using the contracts that were there at the time, and then a visualization of what could have been possible if we had Aiken or Aiken smart contracts then, and it absolutely blew through the huge amount of orders that came in at the beginning. So really looking forward to seeing more and more projects launching with Aiken smart contracts on Cardano. Another interview just to highlight for people interested is the one I done with Xerberus during the week on their massive report they done on Ardana. So Xerberus are building a risk rating protocol on Cardano. They have been on before. They look at on-chain data and try and help you make sense of what actually happened. So Ardana, there's lots of people probably familiar with them. They were building on Cardano and earlier this year completely shut their doors, and it was looked at as a big failure or potentially a rug pull. And when you start to look at the data that Xerberus have pulled, and I think over here is their post, I'll put links to all of this down below. You can see they tracked all of the funds that were initially raised, and it looks like Ardana raised slightly less than they actually said they'd done. So maybe it was an accounting mistake or what. One of the biggest things was they lost $4 million trading on shitcoins, or trading on projects that they were trading towards the end of the bull market when they'd done their big raise, and they ended up losing $4 million of their raise just trading in and out of tokens, and some they locked up funds and ended up going to zero before their unlock time. Absolutely crazy stuff what they were doing. We also talked through the graphs and they show this more visualized of what happened with the Dana token on Cardano, where it went, where it flowed, and that the Ardana team were even selling tokens as recently as July this year. So I put a link to the interview down below as well as the full report for anyone that wants to take a look into it. Maybe I'll do a high-level overview of it in another upcoming video too, but the interview is there for anyone who wants to get the real deep dive into what's going on. And I do hope Xerberus get the funding to be able to do this in real time, because they talked then about when they would have been able to give real-time alerts of what was happening. So as soon as Ardana started to actually trade the funds raised to build the project, when they started to trade them for other tokens, then that's when the first alerts would have started to come, and there would have been multiple other ones after that. Next up, Catalyst voting has come to an end for Fund 10. So that was just a screenshot I got after I put in my vote the other day. And I think the results are expected out around September 21st. So hopefully the projects you voted for are able to get funded and start building more new projects on Cardano, as well as improving the tooling and everything that is there, because there are some really good proposals in there. And once the results come out on September 21st, I'll do a video dedicated looking at some of the people that got funded, and maybe some of the ones that mightn't have got funded that should have, or some of the ones that get funded that maybe shouldn't. And we'll do a deep dive then at that point. Lace wallet. So Lace have brought out their latest upgrades. So one of the biggest ones they have brought out is Multi Delegation. So this allows you to delegate to multiple stake pools from one wallet. So this means you don't have to have multiple seed phrases or even multiple accounts within one wallet now to be able to delegate to multiple pools, which is a really nice feature to have. If you come over here, there's an article that looks into it and talks about how you done it. Fareed from Dapp Central done a full tutorial on it, so I'll try and link that one down below if you want to check that out. So when you come in now to your latest wallet, you have staking. So you can see this test wallet is just staked to my pool. This was the one I set up originally when I was showing how the wallet works. But now if you come down to manage, you can see right now I only have one pool, but I could add more stake pools. So let's have a look. Since I mentioned Fareed there, let's look for DAP. So this is his pool here. I want to add this pool. So now if I look, I have 2 pools selected out of a max of 5. If I click on next, it's saying the staking preferences are going to be changed, which means the allocation will be split, or the amount of ADA in this wallet would be split between them 2 pools. It's not worth following through on this because I think there's only 5 or there's 8 ADA in this wallet. But you can see here, this is how it would be split if I proceeded, go next and sign the transaction. Now it's great to have this option here. There has been some talk though that it's not going to be a great experience for people who are getting involved with dApps on Cardano now if you start to use this feature. Ashish here from Typhon wallet and also from Cardano Scan, and builds a lot of really good infrastructure on Cardano, says that multi-delegation from a single account is not a good idea. He said they've had this implemented in Typhon wallet in the first version, but they removed it because it wasn't a good user experience and it wasn't compatible with a lot of dApps. I think it's great to have the option there, but I'd like to hear from more developers when more people start using this to see how they are getting on with dApps. Are they having issues interacting with dApps? Maybe the multi-delegation from one wallet is more for a wallet that you're just holding for long term. That is essentially your savings account. And then you have a single wallet that interacts with dApps. Within other wallets like Typhon or Eternal, what you can have is you can have one account, one seed phrase, one account, and then under that seed phrase, you can create multiple accounts. So that's personally what I do right now, or have done for a long time, is I would have my hardware wallet, and then under that on Typhon wallet, then I would have multiple different accounts under that. You can have each of them assigned to separate stake pools, or you can use them for different use cases. And to me, it's a nice option to have too, but I'll have a look around and see if there are more developers talking about this too. With Typhon wallet, they brought out a really nice new feature here called warp transactions. So I'll probably do a dedicated video looking into that and maybe comparing different wallets at this point. But just to mention it here, with Cardano, when you're sending native assets right now or NFTs, you have to send a small amount of ADA with that. But what they have introduced here is that there's a way for you to put in the wallet that you're sending the transactions to. You sign the transaction, you're only paying the fee, the whatever it is, 0.18 or 0.28 to actually send the NFTs or the native assets to someone else. And in the other wallet, they would then have to sign a transaction that they're willing to allocate the 2 ADA or whatever the needed amount of ADA to be locked against them NFTs on their wallet. They sign that transaction, and it means that for you, the sender, you only have to send the TX fee. You don't have to send the extra ADA. So I haven't tested it out fully yet. I will try and do that, and maybe when I'm doing a video looking into Typhon and other wallets that are out there, I can show that one in that video too. Next up, we have World Mobile. So World Mobile have announced the World Mobile app. Its global release is going further. So now they have added 19 new countries, and I was glad to see that Ireland is one of them, and they're really rolling out a lot of European countries, or actually all European countries here. So I'll be testing that out over the next week. You can walk around, you can scan your area to earn points. You also have a Cardano wallet in there. You can see the features here. Fiat on-ramp, scan for points is where you scan the area, so then they know what the different areas are like, and then the marketplace. So now that I have access to the app, I'll be able to download it, have a play around with it for a few days, and then do a video on that over the next week or two. On World Mobile, we had Mickey, Mr. Telecoms here, saying on a single rooftop with just one radio and one sector, they had over 10,000 unique handsets attempting to connect to the World Mobile network in the past 24 hours. So this is part of the rollout in the US, just doing some of the testing at the minute, but there's some big numbers already just for one radio. So one antenna to be connected, and there was over 10,000 people looking to connect. And I think down here they said, where was it? Was it in the US? So he said in Nevada, Reno is where this one was. So it's great to see a push forward on the rollout. They had their usual buyback this week. I think it was one of the higher ones so far too. You can keep track of all of that over on WMT Scan. Next up, we have Iagon. So the IAG token has now been listed on Bitpanda. So this is, I think it's a really good step, not just for Iagon, but it also means that more Cardano native tokens can now be listed on Bitpanda. So it's another centralized and a fairly big centralized exchange that can list the tokens. I know not everyone likes centralized exchanges, but it's a great way to bring more people in because more people can now get access to Iagon and to other Cardano native assets on Iagon. This was an interesting one here as well. This isn't, oh, there's Dave's post there. Dave was able to recreate the Iagon website in a static version and host it on the decentralized storage of Iagon. So this means that potentially in the future, we could see websites hosted on decentralized storage. So this means that you can't have calls to take the website down because it's hosted across a decentralized infrastructure. If there's an attack on one of the servers, then it's still not going to take the website down because it is hosted across multiple different decentralized servers. Next, we look at Society, the Ape Society. They're having a rebrand of their token. So previous to this, it had been called Society. Now going forward, it's going to be just called SOC. They're looking to really push more into the DeFi sector. And for anyone holding the token, there won't be any swap or there won't be anywhere that you have to exchange the token. So just in case you see any of that, ignore it all. You don't have to swap your token out. They will just be changing the on-chain metadata. So at some point when you look at the tokens in your wallet, you're going to see this new symbol here, and it's going to be called SOC instead of Society. It's the exact same token underneath, the same utilities, but it's just a rebrand on the overall surface. Then we take a look at the Wingriders launch of the Orcfax token. So this was the new Wingriders launchpad, and the Orcfax Fact token was the first one to go out, and this really didn't go off that well. Unfortunately, the UI for the launchpad went down just when it was ready to launch with the number of people coming in, and I think they talk about it here. The system started to go down with the capacity. Wingriders started to increase capacity at 754, and this was 6 minutes prior to launch, and then another one at 810 and a third one at 812, and they kicked in. And once that all kicked in, the UI and the front end was okay. But there was some people were able to get in because they went directly to the smart contract. They had the technical know-how to be able to send funds to the smart contract. There was talk that some were able to get in earlier before the actual start time. I don't know if that's been finalized yet, whether people were able to get in early or not, but I can do a follow-up on that next week. You can see the way it was working was that when it launched, there was a minimum to raise and then there was the maximum. So the maximum was the maximum that could be taken, and it was a first come first served basis. And so when it launched, obviously there was the UI issues, but you can see fairly quickly things spiked up and they went well over the maximum that was to raise. So the reason they allowed more in was that in case people decided to pull out early of this, then anyone who was in underneath this line here would have been able to get in then, or anyone who was just over it would be able to get in if anyone under here pulled out just before the finish, which just finished before I launched or before I started recording this video. One of the biggest issues that I see here, so obviously the UI and not being ready for capacity really wasn't a great start for it. This was all smart contract based. But if you come down here, this here is the biggest issue for me. Is the minimum that people could put in was 20 ADA, but the maximum was 500,000 ADA. So when they were doing a max raise of 4.5 million ADA, to me it's crazy to have a max raise that any one person could put in is 500,000 ADA. That means potentially that 9 people could have taken the full allocation. Now I know that's not what happens, and there isn't always going to be everyone putting in 500,000, but when it's a first come first serve basis like this, if you want to really get the token distributed, you need to have a lot smaller than this. To me, this max allocation should have been maybe 10,000 ADA or 50,000 if you want a really big allocation. But when you knew there was going to be demand, this allocation here should have been a lot less. I think they have the breakdown of it here. So this talks about the first 15 minutes of problematic UI, and there was 1.5 million ADA got in that time. And they're saying that there was only 6 wallets put in over 100k. But if we look at the breakdown here, right, so here's the top 5 contributors. They put in 1.6 million ADA. So there was one person with 500,000. There was a 300k in at 801. Potentially that could have been direct to the smart contract, or any of these ones here could have been direct to the smart contract, because you can see they're in really, really early when there was lots of UI problems. So within the top, so then 6th to 15th, they put in 1.1. So out of the top 15 people, they were able to put in 2.7, nearly 2.8 million. So over half of the allocation went to 15 contributors, which isn't great. It isn't great if you want to really help push the token out. To me, these numbers should be a lot smaller. And if we look at another sale that's ongoing on the launchpad right now, it is possible to set, it must be possible to set these, because you can see the max allocation on the Plutus sale is 1500 ADA. Now that's probably a little bit small, but it definitely should be a lot smaller than 500,000. So we'll do a follow-up once we figure out, or once it's finalized, whether people got in early or not. I think Xerberus are going to look into it and see who got in early and who didn't, and look at some of the breakdown on that too. And both these 2 reports here are from Wingriders, and Orcfax have put out postmortems as well, looking into the details, but definitely not the kind of start that the launchpad wanted to have. Just when we're on the Orcfax token, the ISPO finished a while back now, but the tokens are going to be claimable from the next epoch, which is starting on the 17th of September. You'll be able to claim your first drop, and you can see the allocations here. It's going to be vested, so every epoch, or not even every epoch, every, what's that, every 6 epochs, maybe 7 epochs, you're going to be able to get another claim, and that's going to be done through Toshi drops. So if you were part of that ISPO, that's where you can claim your tokens. On Oracle Solutions, Charli3 put this one out here, that all their documentation is open for anyone to use the Oracle feeds now. So if you're looking to use some of the Oracle feeds they have, then you can come in here to their documentation, and you'll get everything that you need for that integration to be able to access the I presume at the minute it is the USD free one, so the 80 USD feed. But if you are integrating with Charli3, this will give you an idea of what's possible, or how the integration would work too. Closing it out then on the Wanchain bridge, which allows you to bridge from Ethereum or from multiple different blockchains into Cardano. GERO, which is one of the projects that started on Ethereum, started their fundraise on Ethereum and their token. Now you can finally move your GERO tokens over from Ethereum into Cardano using the Wanchain blockchain. So thanks for watching. I hope this has given people some value. I think I'll be sitting down with Fareed from Dapp Central over on his channel tomorrow for a live stream. Make sure you check that out. Hope you have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching.